plants are being eaten alive. My name is Rose. Welcome, especially if you're new here. Pests are very rampant and usually we discover them quite late. And that is what this first video is about, how to recognize pests before hopefully it's too late for your plant. I've said this before, I'm not an expert, I'm just doing my own research and sharing that with you, so definitely don't take this as the gospel. First, let's talk about some causes of pests. How do they get into your house? And there are actually quite a few different ways. One can be a new plant that comes into your collection, which you maybe don't isolate as much as you should. Then there's also the wind, the breeze. I have some open windows here, and outside, especially in this time of year, in the summer and the spring, there are a lot of pests, and they can just blow in on the breeze and start to munch on your beautiful indoor plants. Another way is in the soil. If you're using some kind of substrate that is not the highest quality, then there can be pests in the soil, in the bark, in the moss. That's why I try to buy high quality products from good sellers to avoid that side of the problem. And then the last one is actually through touch. Sometimes you walk by a plant that might have a whatever mealybug or something and it catches onto your clothes and then it can transfer itself to another plant. So even if you're in a, for example, a garden center or someone else's house where there might be pests that you didn't see, you can still carry them with you on your hands or on your clothes into your own collection. Now let's talk about how to recognize them. Obviously, it would be nice to have a microscope or even just a, what do you call it? Like an old-fashioned way of enlarging things, like, you know, like detectives have. Is this making any sense? I don't know. But anyway, if you don't have a microscope, you can still recognize the signs of the pests without actually seeing the tiny bugs. Let's talk about that. Sometimes you see that a leaf looks damaged. It's coming out a little bit weird, like on my Alocasia cuprea. Sometimes leaves just brown as soon as they come out, like on my Syngonium confetti. Sometimes you see small dots on the leaves. Sometimes there are strange patterns on the leaves, just like on this baby micans. And sometimes it's just leaves that are yellowing in places where you would not expect it. Just like on Roos, my Maranta lemon lime. If you see any of these things, it is always good to look at your plant, look up more closely, maybe using just your eyes and really focusing in. Once you see a pest with the naked eye, it's pretty easy to see more of them. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but then once you have some experience seeing them, you'll see them much more quick. Sometimes a damaged leaf is just, it got stuck or it got not enough humidity or something. So it doesn't always have to be pests, but if there is a damaged leaf, it's good to check the plant. And I am actually pretty bad with this. In general, in life, I'm pretty chill. I accept things and people the way they are, even if they are damaged or different looking or whatever it may be. It makes me a very nice human to be around, I think, because I don't judge very quickly. But it's also kind of impractical because I don't then look closer and figure out problems ahead of time. Like with the cuprea, I had a huge spider mite infestation that I didn't see until there was webbing and it was pretty bad because I was just like, oh, some leaves are coming out damaged. It's fine. Sometimes you see damage on the leaves and you kind of, maybe from experience or maybe from other people telling you, know that it looks like some kind of bug damage, but you cannot see the bugs. It's very confusing sometimes, and sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and let it be what it is, maybe isolate the plant. But we'll talk about that more in a different video. If you see damage that could be from a pest, I like to see what pest it is. So that's why I actually bought this microscope. Check out wherever it is in the corner, I'll link some videos that I've done before about bugs. But I like to see them up close so I know what I'm dealing with, and then I can actually treat them accordingly. So let's talk about a few different things that you might see. First of all, there might be white fuzz on your plant. I had this with my Stephania erecta. I actually thought it was fuzz. I didn't see any bugs. It just looks like some kind of, I don't know, fuzz. It was bugs. So don't let the no seeing any bugs fool you. If you see white fuzz, then it probably is mealybugs. When they're a little bit bigger, you can see them. They're white. They look a little bit like isopods. They're only white with little tendrils. They look quite creepy. They can be still quite small. Once they grow a little bit more mature, they actually get quite big. And You can definitely see them with the naked eye or with the zoom on your phone. If you have a microscope, they look like this. Pretty creepy. Apparently they are kind of hard to get rid of. So far I've only found them twice in my plants. Maybe they're currently growing and growing, but I've heard from other people that they're quite hard to get rid of. We'll talk about that in a different video. Another pretty clear one is when you see webbing on your leaves. Usually in the creases, that usually means that you have spider mites. Spider mites are very small and hard to see with the naked eye. If you look close at the webbing, you might just see some white specks. I think those are the eggs or like the babies. If you look a little bit closer, you might see some tiny specks but moving. Mine are usually orange, but it depends on your region, what kind of color they have. There are many different kinds of mites. They are quite fast moving. If you look at them with a microscope, they actually look very creepy. They look like tiny little spiders. They're pretty creepy up close. If you notice yellowing leaves, browning leaves, or new growth dying off quite quickly, it can be many things. What I've noticed that it can often be thrips. Thrips are very bad, annoying little buggers because they, first of all, they put their eggs inside the tissue of the leaves. So if you spray them away and you treat them, then after a few days or however long, the new eggs will come out and you have them all over again, and you have to keep on treating until you've killed all the eggs as well as the mamas and the larvae. So they're a little bit harder to treat in my experience. How you can recognize them is to see tiny little thin, longer bits walking across your leaves. These are kind of the same pace as spider mites. They can move relatively fast. Sometimes you have to really look closely to see maybe one or two. If you have a big infestation, you might see a lot of them. In that case, I would say throw that plant away because they're so annoying. And if there's a lot of them visible, then definitely there will be also lots of eggs. Anyway, we're not talking about treatment in this video, just identifying. If you look at them with a microscope, there are two ways to see them. We've got the larvae. They're kind of yellow-greenish looking. And then the mature ones are different colors. Obviously, there are, again, many different kinds of thrips. By the way, it's always thrips. Also, if there's just one, you call it a thrips. I didn't know this. What I've seen here, they can be brown, they can be zebra thrips, which means that they have little zebra stripes on their backs. And if you look at them up close, it's kind of like they have two rolls, like two hot dogs on their backs. This is their wings, because they do have wings when they are mature. Two walking little hot dogs in different colors. That's my description of a grown thrip up close. What I've noticed, if you see dots across the leaf, like on my monstera, it can be aphids. Aphids, again, come in many different forms, and they suck the juice out of the leaves, just like a lot of these other bugs. But aphids are a little bit easier because they're much more visible to the naked eye, first of all. So you might see them in all the different colors. They're in green and yellow and brown and even black. We'll talk about them in a moment. They're quite easy to treat though, so that's good. And you might recognize them from your outside garden. They often sit on the new buds of roses or other plants. They like to eat the new growth. If you have them outside, it's no problem because we have ladybugs. Ladybugs love aphids. There are many different kinds of aphids. I tried to look at them up close with a microscope, but they're so big and my microscope is 1,000 times enlarged. So it's kind of hard to see them because they're too big for the screen. One more thing about aphids, there is one kind that are the black ninjas of aphids. They're called black bean aphids. And you can recognize them because they grow on the stems of plants. In my care, they've usually been on my caladiums, but they also really liked a banana plant. And I feel like they also would like alocasias. They like those juicy stems a little bit more. And you can see them very well because they, it's very gross. They sit on the stem all on top of each other, like a black cover of the stem. And then around it, you might see white bits lying around. Those are, I think, the skins that they threw off. So that's also a good way to recognize them if you see white dots on the soil. Up close, these are super creepy because they're all sitting together and then they're all like moving, like it's very creepy. So I don't recommend looking at them up close with a microscope. One more pest that I'm actually very unsure about is scale. Apparently scale sits on the leaf and stays there. I personally have never seen them before, so I cannot show you my own experience, but I can show you some up close images. Maybe you've had it, let me know in the comments. I'm happy that there's at least one pest that I haven't had yet. So fingers crossed we keep it that way. So you don't need any fancy material to research and find out what your plant has. I hope this video is helpful for you to kind of know what you're up against early so you can treat early. One more thing, if you do see damage like this and you've spotted some pests, isolate your plant right away. That's what I want to say for this video. And then in the next video in this series, we'll talk about how to treat those pests. And there are two ways of treating that I'll also talk about, chemical and natural. This is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it is useful. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever had a pest. Until about a year ago, I was blissfully unaware of pests. And then my whole world came crashing down because turns out I had a lot of pests. I just didn't see it yet. Thanks to you guys on YouTube, but also on Instagram, people were commenting on my photos like, that looks like thrips damage, or are you sure that's not a mealybug right there? So thank you so much for your help. Together, we're learning. I've said this before, I'm not an expert. I'm just doing my own research and sharing that with you. So definitely don't take this as the gospel, just do your own research. I hope you're able to treat your plants early and save their lives because plants are awesome. If you haven't yet, remember to give my video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I've noticed a lot of you still aren't subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. It will be awesome for me. It really helps me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!